We should do something resembling an intro.
Okay.
I don't have one like prepped.
Yeah. I'm Rue.
And I'm Eric, and welcome to Second Monitor Content, where we just kind of like live make sense of the internet, particularly as it relates to art. And today, media literacy
Yeah.
is part of the argument I'm gonna make.
Okay.
Because every now and then, you have like these like memes and discourse pop up that are just like actively demonstrative of the lack of media literacy on some people's behalf
Mhm.
and also like actively harmful to the continuation of popular media literacy,
Yeah.
right? Which like I don't know that I like media literacy fully as a term, but it feels like a reasonable thing to like
To like use.
yeah, like it's useful for this purpose, right?
Okay.
Specifically, this has been a long introduction so far, but it's okay. Part of the point is people aren't paying attention. Specifically, the discourse I want to talk about today is one that comes up it like quarterly in music circles,
Yeah.
right? Is somebody will start the producer versus beatmaker argument, and it's always I actually like in preparation, like thinking about this, I dug back through the earliest time I remember being involved in it was I was like I got into a big fucking argument with a dude who was just being a shithead about Kenny Beats in like 2018, right? Because somebody had like posted on Twitter, they were like, "Oh, like Kenny's he's like becoming a better producer than he is beat maker. Like his beats are tired." In 2018, this is how hipster I was. We were already tired of Kenny Beats, right? But like his beats are kind of tired, but his production skills are upped. And somebody came in and they were like, "Those are the same fucking thing, right?"
Mhm.
And so then someone else was like, "Nah, like it's slightly different." And this dude was like, "Fucking use Google, and Google will tell you that they're the same thing." And so I stepped in and I was like, "Hey, would you use Google head ass? Why don't you Google these two fucking things? Why don't you go to Wikipedia or any other fucking reputable source and discover that these are two meaningfully different things, right?"
Mhm.
But like, there's no clean fuck. So if we scroll through this, this is mostly the debate hasn't like popped up heavily again this year. I there's this meme that I found that I think is like, God, Elon. Uh, is like the most exemplary of people being fucking stupid shitheads about it,
Yeah.
right? Because I think like genuinely most people like just aren't making an attempt. There are people who
They aren't like making an
understand.
attempt to like
There are
try to
people
understand.
who understand and accept the difference between these two things, and then there are people who are intentionally obtuse, which is how I've like pulled this into. It's one of those things that fucks media literacy the same way the dumbass fucking Blue Curtains Tumblr post did,
Mhm.
right? The Tumblr post that's like, what your English teacher like book. There are blue curtains. What your English teacher says it means. What the author meant. There are
Yeah.
blue curtains, and it's like to fucking debunk this meme in a way that's like acceptable to people. I should have to walk through the entire fucking death of the author, right? But I'm not going to do that because I know that you're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
If you can't fucking wrap through your brain the idea that there is like more to a piece of media to be analyzed than authorial intent,
Mhm.
you're a petulant child.
Yeah, it's like inherently anti-intellectual.
Yeah, and it's like y'all are the reason shit's not okay. By the way, it's also okay to not be intellectual about the art you consume.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I think
That's a
that's
reasonable
fine.
thing. Don't tweet about it then. I like my answer. I understand that what we're doing right now is one of the most chronically online things of all time.
Yeah.
But if you are that wrapped up in some shit that you don't want to actually put time and effort into, do something else. That's okay, right? Like I enjoy visual art a lot, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not that caught up in it. So at the end of the day, I go, "Oh, pretty,"
Yeah.
and just kind of move on. I'm not like it'll happen one day because there is visual art that I'm passionate about, but like 90% of it, I just move on, right? Like I've been seeing a lot of art exhibits lately have like people are doing like fabric art,
Oh shit.
right? Like yeah, and I'm like this shit is dope.
Yeah, that's
I know fuck all, so I shut the fuck up and I move on. I do other things with my time. My I think like if you're a person who's like really big into any CW show, but especially Supernatural, what you should do is watch something new. That's it. Like
yo, bro.
if you're partaking in pretty much any fandom, just go watch something new because you can't obsessively love a thing that you're critical of, but also art is not good for an adult if you're not being critical of it.
Man, there are a lot of 2015 Tumblr vlogs that are like getting pitchforks right now.
Fuck them all.
Cause
Give a shit. Anyway, so this meme, right, is the Jesse Walt meme, and Jesse's like, I'm a producer, not a beat maker. Walt's like, what? He's like, like beat makers like make the beat, but producers care about structure and composition and shit like that. And then Walt's like, Jesse, what the fuck
what are you talking about?
And you know how you know this meme was made by somebody who's a petulant child?
How?
It doesn't represent the side of the argument that they're against well. It is a complete fucking straw man that takes words that they've heard people say and haven't actually thought about and just throws them all there to be a fucking straw man, right?
Yeah.
This is my point here is not actually to talk that much about the difference between a producer and a beat maker other than to illustrate it with literature and other forms of writing, which is like what this channel is going to naturally be about because of who I am and who you are as people.
Yeah.
But the difference between a producer and a beat maker, right? This is just the fine line difference, right? Is a thing that we can all understand if we think about it the opposite way of the way all of these petulant children are thinking about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The person who programs the drums, who plays the guitar, that person is the beat maker. This is a thing that we accept.
Yes.
Kanye West is a rapper and a what?
Producer.
Does Kanye West program all of his own drums?
I think so.
No.
No.
Hasn't in years.
Ah.
I don't think he's programmed drums on an album since College Dropout, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't program his own drums. For the most part, he's not laying down his own samples. Kanye West is the producer because get this, we're going to get into some crazy etymology.
What?
The producer is the person who is responsible for the production of the music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A movie producer, their job is to finance a movie existing that did not used to exist.
Yeah.
And they are creatively involved insofar as their involvement with the production of the movie creates the movie, because that's what producing is. Musically, a producer is a person who takes music that doesn't exist and makes it exist.
Yeah.
And they might make the beat to make that happen. The producer might also write lyrics to make that happen.
Yeah.
Pharrell, producer, writes most hooks to Pharrell songs, even ones that aren't like published under his name.
Yeah.
Right? That's a producer. It's what a producer's job is, right? The beat maker can often work under a producer. And the reason that this debate is important is because it's really important for people who are making music to understand that building a type beat and programming the drums is not the same thing as production.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you often have a designed vision there, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to make a thing that sounds like a J. Cole song,
Mm-hmm.
which is like you are creating music, but you're not seeing it through to its completion. And you're not really building a vision. Like, you're not producing the song.
Yeah.
You are just creating the skeleton of a thing that that can exist, right?
Yeah.
Production has to be wholesale. It starts from, like, inception of the idea through to completion of the project.
Yeah.
You can't be a music producer who's not releasing music and arguably should have to be a person releasing music in a really like contained artistic manner, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
at releasing singles meant for audience consumption, not music meant to be handed to other musicians to be worked on,
Yeah.
right? Like we understand that there's a difference between Dilla's Donuts and all of the beats that he was doing in the 90s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He produced Donuts.
Donuts. Yeah.
He made those beats. Now,
Yeah.
Dilla also produced those songs because the beat maker and the producer usually one person,
Yeah.
but he made those beats. He produced those songs.
Yeah. I think like a lot of that argument is like inherently like tied into hip hop, like because historically in hip hop the producer just has been the beat maker
Yeah.
for like a lot of songs and a lot of albums that we think of.
It's really obvious, I think, when you have live instrumentation,
Yeah.
who the producer is.
Exactly.
Right? Because, like, Rick Rubin, people were shitting on Rick Rubin recently for, like, that man doesn't touch, he doesn't know how to play drums, he can't play guitar, he can't operate a mixing board. Why is he the greatest music producer of all time? Because he is fucking exceptional at getting really good artists to make really good art.
He just has a good ear.
That's what a producer's job is. He has a
Yeah.
good ear and he has fantastic people skills,
Yeah.
right? There's this story I think he tells, so maybe it's bullshit, of him spending like months with Johnny Cash in the production of American Six, just going like, play me your favorite song. Play me a song that makes me think of your wife. And like that's what ends up on the record. Right?
Yeah.
That is music production. Rick Rubin did not make My Adidas. That man had nothing to do with like the literal music of that track. He was the one who went, "Yo, Run, why aren't you rapping? Hey, you guys should do a song about the clothes you're wearing."
Yeah.
That's production.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this because I've been reading a lot of comic books. Right? And in comic books, there's this thing. I'll see if I can, like, we'll stick to Twitter as much as possible. I'll see if somebody's tweeted about it. There's this idea of writing called the Marvel method. Right? And what the Marvel method was a Stan Lee way of doing things. Where, yeah, sure, probably this is relevant. At the very least, it's a visual. So the Marvel method is a Stan Lee idea where he would come up with like the outline of a plot, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man has a new college girlfriend. Her name is Gwen Stacy. The Green Goblin kills her dad, right? Then he hands this to an artist. The artist produces 22 pages of comic book.
Yeah.
Right? From this basic plot.
Yeah.
Then Stan Lee goes back and fills in all of the text.
Yeah.
Right? What this became for a lot of people is the artist and the writer would collaborate and they'd go, here's our basic plot points. The artist would take it, do whatever they wanted to, then hand it to the writer, and the writer would script it.
Yeah.
And there are a decent amount of comic books, from what I can tell, where the writer, quotation marks, and the person scripting aren't the same person, right? I think a lot of Spawn comics, it seems like, are done this way.
Yeah.
Where Todd McFarlane, the artist, is producing the art and then handing it to somebody to fill in the words. But he's still credited as the writer. Which is a producer beat maker argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's made me think about the fact that writers exist. There is two different planes of writing, right? And I think that what a lot of people say when they say they want to be a writer is they want to be the credited writer.
Yeah.
Right? You have writing, which is production, which is like, I have this idea and I want to extrapolate it this way, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think it would be really cool if there was an album that kind of sounded like a TV show, and I'm going to structure that out and make
Yeah.
that happen. And then you have the writer who is doing the actual literal fucking writing of words that go into the creation of that idea, right? And I don't know how to like reconcile those two things as a perspective writer. I feel like what we're doing right now is an exercise in being a better writer, quotation marks.
Mm-hmm.
Like um I've also been thinking a lot about there's a quote from some old writer that I can't remember where he says writing is hell and having written is hell, but having just written is the like is heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's so much of this sentiment around writing where it's like, oh god, writing is just the fucking worst. But like I love reading what I just wrote, or like I love showing people what I wrote. And I look at that as a writer and I'm like, well, I don't really know what the fuck y'all are on about. Like, yeah, it's like it sucks sometimes. Like good writing is exercise for the soul and the brain,
Yeah.
right? But like when I get on an elliptical, I know that the first 5 minutes are trash,
Mm.
right? Like I'm not gonna be focused. I'm gonna have ADHD. I'm not gonna want to be there, right? But about 5 minutes in, I'm gonna hit that point where I'm like, nah, fuck it, we ball, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same shit for me with writing.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I like the first paragraph or two, the throat clearing, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this. Right? But once I get past that, I'm like, all right, we found the fucking groove. This is the shit. And like you've seen me actively writing. It's like I get into a fucking like cocaine fueled manic state. I don't do cocaine when I'm writing, but like you would imagine that I had. Because I'm like, ooh, we can do this fucking double entendre. Like, what if this character fucking like puts a cigarette out on his dick? Like, we get real fucking crazy with it, right? And like, I'm starting to wonder if a lot of people who are attempting art, like, if the thing for them
Mm-hmm.
is being the outline writer or like being the producer and
Or it's like
kind
the
of
guy that
wanting
like
that air.
is like, here's like what this story is about. Here are like all
Yeah.
these themes, and here's the characters and
Like
how they
would
should
y'all
be
be
acting.
just as happy if you could like how many people writing right now would rather just give an outline of a script or something
Yeah.
to ChatGPT and have it like if you could get a language learning model to taste,
Mm-hmm.
how many people would just walk away? Right? And like it's starting to bother me a lot as a person who is like the producer and the beat maker,
Yeah.
because like to me so much of the art and the love of the art is in programming the drums or putting the words
Words.
side by side.
Exactly. It's like in doing like the actual groundwork for.
Yeah. um but it just occurred to me that like those are two separate things, right? Like you can be a really good idea person
Yeah.
and a really shit like functioning person,
Yeah.
right? And like we probably need to diversify how we think about artistic careers and functionalities, because a lot of people who are partaking in the arts, which is a thing I think everyone should do, are like forcing themselves through processes that they're not enjoying
Mm-hmm.
because those are like that's the terminology that they know.
Yeah.
It's also possible that you're a beat maker who doesn't like music production, right?
Yeah.
Like you might like programming drums and fucking around with the melody and not want to stick around to see a song through. But if you think that you're supposed to be a producer, you're going to stick around trying to produce songs.
Yeah.
When it's like, nope, that's not what the art is. Like these are really different functionalities. So move on. Anyway, that's my rant and also my like last my last word on the producer beatmaker argument is I think a lot of people are just being shitheads about it, and it's really clear in that instance that those are two different things.
Hmm.
Um, maybe one day we'll return if it ever comes up again with the debate about like if you've given somebody a really detailed commission note,
Yeah.
do you have some ownership
Over
over the concept?
of yeah.
You know, like if I ask an artist to paint a brand new character, how detailed do I have to be for that character to be more mine than theirs?
Yeah.
But that's for a different day. Mostly this is just the rant that's been stuck in my fucking head about producers and beat makers and writers and also writers.